Hi everyone, I got Jesse here from LoveCry, CEO, and I'm here with our volunteer Anthony. We're going to talk about forgiveness today.
Which is such a massive topic. So, in one of our other videos, when we're talking about how do you know yourself, one of the things that you had said was that forgiveness is a huge part of knowing yourself, which at first doesn't make any sense. Like, what does it have to do for me to forgive all the crap that other people have done? What does it have to do with me for knowing myself, right? And I think that's part of like what we do externally happens to us internally,
hmm
right? So as we can forgive things that other people have done or forgive things that we've done, it kind of goes together and it helps us to, like, how is that specifically in the process? So let's say I forgive other people, like, how does that help me know myself?
So for forgiveness, you start by forgiving yourself for hurting others. You start by forgiving yourself for hurting yourself, and then you start with forgiving others for hurting you. Because that process of forgiving yourself for hurting others and hurting yourself, it gives you kind of like an understanding to why people react or feel the way they do. It kind of gives you um, an
like
understanding,
like an empathy.
not even like I guess empathy in a sense, but it's just like an understanding of being rather than like, anger for what's happened. There's a teaching for both people, like so by forgiving yourself, you are allowing yourself to be more your true self, because without that forgiveness then you're stuck in like shame, hatred, anger, jealousy, resentment, and then who really benefits from that, you know
It hurts us, right? And it's
and
toxic.
and it
Yeah.
hurts our friends, our family. It hurts everyone around us, so it's not just for us, the forgiveness. It will also bring lightness to your family and friends and community.
Like it's kind of, I heard one author saying that forgiveness is like a lubrication that helps relationships. Now you mentioned forgiving yourself first and then forgiving others, but it could happen in another order, perhaps. Like because I'm just remembering like a really big forgiveness moment that I had is I was trying to forgive someone and I was like, I'm having trouble with this. I'm having trouble, and then all of a sudden I kind of remembered something I did that was very hurtful to someone, and I had repressed that, because our ego doesn't want us to go around looking at bad things we've done. It's like we repress them, we don't think about them. So this thing came up. I'm like, wow, I was a real asshole to this person. And so, like, if I can allow myself to forgive myself for that, then then I can, or if I can forgive that other person for that bad thing, that can help me feel worthy of forgiving myself. So I forgive this bad thing externally, and then I was like, okay, now I hopefully have the right to try to forgive myself for something I've done.
In a sense, I guess it could be kind of like a catalyst towards it, but in a sense, like how you can't forgive someone without forgiving yourself.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, so
it
people that are all hard ass, right? Like they're zero tolerance, they're hard ass, and don't cross me or I'm gonna mess you up. So those kind of people are very, you're saying for sure, they're very hard on themselves too.
100%.
So they have things within themselves that they haven't forgiven themselves for, and that anger against themselves, they project it. Like, that person that so and so did whatever, and I'm gonna, like, they're gonna pay with their life, or they're gonna pay with some, like, I'm
No,
gonna
no,
make them pay, I'm not gonna let it go. And so that external internal kind of connection, that
and
instant karma, if you will.
and it kind of gets in the way of karma in a sense, because now you're trying to play God.
Mm.
You're trying to punish them for an action that God will show them, or a higher being or whatever you want to believe.
The
But
way life works,
yeah,
right? Like we get the lessons that we need to get. So it's like, or even like I've heard many Christian people say, like, they play God not directly, like, okay, that guy did something and I'm gonna scratch his car, or like I'm gonna run over his foot, but indirectly. So like, well, God's gonna get that person. God's really gonna get
even
that
yeah,
person.
that's
So
still
they're still playing God, right?
yeah,
Because and our thing is
and
to,
wishing harm. Yeah, sorry.
and it's wishing harm, which is a very negative energy. So, that thing you said before was like when you're mad at someone, like it's like you're holding a hot coal against that person, but you're the one stuck holding this hot coal, right? So,
And so one thing I heard too is like it's like drinking poison. and expecting the other person to die.
Right.
That was like I
That's
heard that in
perfect.
school, like in someone's presentation. I don't know where it came from, but that was like a
Ah,
beautiful saying.
yeah,
Because that's exactly what it is. Because you could be sitting here like, oh, f them, they don't deserve this, da da da, and they could be off on a vacation with their family, enjoying their time, hanging out with their friends, doing whatever they like, and you're sitting there upset, hurt, now affecting your family and affecting everything around you, your job, your well being, and this person's enjoying himself. So really, like, are you really harming them by staying angry? And that that was a big thing for me too, because when my daughter went through what she did, like I was very angry at what happened and how it was dealt with based on um, my partner and CAS at the time.
so you're angry at the children's society, you're angry at your ex-partner,
Yeah,
so you're like, and you know, as a guy who was on the outside, because I knew you at that time, I would say you had every right, man. You're bloody well right.
yeah,
But
that's how they get you, because when you think that you're right and you feel this way, they now own you. They play on that aspect.
because you're feeling mad and
Yeah,
you're that can be a manipulating tool because you're
yeah.
mad, so we want you to act mad, we want you to act weird, we want you to act maladjusted, so we're going to make you so mad, we're going to keep pushing you until
Yeah.
you.
And you may be justified, like it's fully justified. Like this was my daughter, like I
Yeah,
wasn't allowed to see her,
you were totally right to feel
you
mad.
know, and like it was only burying me. Like it
So that
was
anger was
yeah,
hurting you more than anybody
and
else.
separating me further from my daughter. So that anger, say I don't get to see her, that anger is now hurting her. I'm pushing her further away. I'm hardening up, keeping myself away from that pain instead of opening up and loving her. And that's where the forgiveness comes into play, because then I can forgive myself for my anger, for my pain, for everything that I did that wasn't necessarily wrong, but for the situation,
It wasn't
it
helpful.
yeah, yeah. So I had to forgive myself, regardless of being right. Because if I was right, then why do I feel like this? So it kind of challenges, like, if you're right, you don't feel hurt and angry all the time. You feel relief. You kind of feel kind of like a euphoric feeling. So it's
Because you've got this toxicity coming off of you, this
yeah,
weight coming off of you when you
yeah.
forgive. And I guess, you know, I like asking questions that are dumb because, actually these dumb questions are, in another sense, not so dumb. Like how do you do it? Like how do you forgive something? And then there's people that say, well, if you're too soft in this life, people are just going to run over you. Like if you turn the other cheek, you're just going to get another smack.
Yeah,
So you got to be tough and stand up for yourself, right? So how do we reconcile
yeah.
that, and how do we do it?
Because when you make that change in forgiveness and understanding, you could see it in others. You could see how they're going to treat you. Like you could see the effects of, like, so say someone comes into your life again with the same traits as that last person, you're going to notice before it hurts you.
Mm.
You're going to be able to call it out, talk about it, and see if that person's even willing to be human with about it. And that's where it becomes a safety, a protection for yourself, and gives you a stronger sense of self by doing that, because you feel more connected. And then when you're dealing with your traits you don't want to deal with, your body's more like, he'll look out for us, or
Mm.
she'll look out for us, that we could trust them now. Like,
So you don't
listen.
have to be so guarded. So
Yeah,
when you forgive that situation, you're saying if you get a similar situation, because you've forgiven that past one, you're going to be more present. You're not
yeah.
going to be on autopilot and reactive. So you're going to be more present. So you'll actually be more able to catch stuff and work with stuff before it reaches a painful point
Because
or a bad
the
point.
anger and resentment create the situations to happen again. So you feel right. You feel justified. You feel backed up by your opinion. Because look, it's always happening.
Ah,
But then it's like, yeah, it's always happening. But what are you doing?
right.
Like, how
Yeah.
are you contributing to this always happening? Like, life's unfair sometimes. Sometimes it seems like that. But really, it is showing you something. It is teaching you something. And society has gotten us in a way to, like, run and hide. Don't forgive. Be hard. Be strong. And where love is strong. If you can't face this stuff with love, then how can you say that it's not? How can you say it's weak? if it's too hard for you to even do. But it's not too hard. It's just something that is, it's scary to believe in, and to feel like we could be hurt again, and that pain, that's what's scary, to like have to feel like that, and be like that. But when you learn and forgive and understand, those feelings don't come back to you. They may be around.
And then life doesn't have to throw back that situation at you
Yes,
again.
yes.
So if we have something happen to us that we don't forgive, so we don't forgive, we're like, oh, XYZ happened, I'm never going to let that happen again, I'm so mad about it, never going to let that. So that unresolved, unforgiven thing will cause that situation to happen to you again, from somebody else or from the same person. Because, so you're saying that's what could happen when you don't forgive it. So when you do forgive it, then life or the universe or the creator, I don't have to throw that situation. We don't have to go into that situation again because they've forgiven it.
Yeah, you'll get new situations to keep practicing and learning, and to grow your heart, to learn to love, to embrace everything. Um, but yeah.
So, and that's, this forgiveness is one of these tools for knowing ourselves, because then we can look with tenderness and with love at our shortcomings, at what we've done wrong. And that's part of you opening the door on these secret rooms inside yourself, and having all the keys on your piano that work. I imagine only half of them work, then you can't really play that many songs.
And then another thing too is loving kindness too. So like when you are wishing people goodwill, even your enemies, like people get, oh, why would I wish them good? Why would I wish them thing? But it's like, if we understood what the root of happiness means, when you wish someone the root of happiness, that they have to experience all their pain and trauma. They have to experience it
To
to
reach real
to come out of
happiness.
it. Yeah. So in a sense, it's almost like haha, because you're gonna have to face yourself, but it's important. Kind of lost track on that thing.
So it's about, why would you even want to know yourself, which is touching on the other videos, to have that real happiness. And how do we get in touch with ourselves? You're saying forgiveness is
Yeah.
a huge
Yeah, and loving kindness
tool.
is part of it. Loving
Ah,
kindness is another part of the tool that adds to it. So, like when you start to forgive and things, and you start to wish this loving kindness, you can start to wish it for yourself. Because internalized, we always think that we love ourselves, that but really, at least from my own experience, I had no idea how to love myself. My love was based on what other people taught me.
well, if I get all these toys and gadgets that I want, then that's me loving myself. But you're saying the real love is having this. I talked about tenderness and loving kindness is what you're saying. And it goes back to the Bible of loving your enemy. Like, that
Yeah.
sounds really dumb. Why would I love my enemy? I'm supposed to like stab them and get them out of my way. And
Because you're changing the future by doing that. When you love someone who's in that type of pain or turmoil that are creating these situations, it changes. It helps shift. But when you hate, when you give the fuel, when you put fuel on the fire, it burns stronger. You're not putting it out.
right.
So you need to really look at that aspect of self.
That's awesome stuff. So, one thing that you had me listen to, you lent me one of your DVDs of Jack
Jack
Kornfield
Cornfield.
talking about forgiveness, and that was powerful. Is so Jack Kornfield is one person to maybe listen to, unless kind of like forgiveness coaching, and also like forgiveness stories that can inspire you. Is there any other author or person that you like for this topic of forgiveness?
I guess like Sharon Salzberg has a good book on that, Loving Kindness.
Salzburg?
Sharon Schal. Sorry.
That's a tongue twister. Sharon
Sharon Salzberg.
Salzburg, and it's called
Salzberg.
Loving Kindness.
Loving Kindness. Yeah.
Okay, and that's the name of her book.
Yeah.
And then even this video, if somebody watched it, 2 or 3 times, they might get something new from it each time they watch.
Yeah, and like for me, like my forgiveness, it was very hard. I lost my daughter. I was dealing with the systemic, and I was kind of like deemed like like I guess
An angry son of a bitch.
I guess in a sense like someone who's like like not good for society. He's gonna fail. He's not gonna make it anywhere. He's not gonna do anything. And when I was taught to love myself with forgiveness and be with who I am, it changed my world. It changed everything. but there was still, like, you still have these residue of things, that old patterns, old thoughts that come up and are trying to make you feel like, oh, why would you do this, because this is like this, and and it's like, yeah, but then you rationalize with them and show them the the joy that you got, the light, the understanding that has come to you because of these things, and it it soothes it, if that
So you're
makes
talking to
sense.
these different aspects of yourselves.
Yeah,
In other videos, I talked about different boardroom members, right? So that's within us. So you have that part of you that had some loving kindness for yourself and forgiveness for yourself, and then you have this other part of you saying, don't be that person that gets taken advantage of. Don't be a
yeah,
fool. Get tough. Be tough. And so you have these different aspects, and you can communicate with that part of you. Like you can say, hey, I know you want to protect me. I know you want me to
yeah,
be protected, and this is actually, what you're saying, this forgiveness is good for me because it's raising me up and it's making me more likely to succeed, whether that's in succeeding getting my daughter back, succeeding in my life,
exactly.
feeling more happy in my life.
And making a change, because that makes a change. You change yourself. Whether it changes what you want to change is another aspect, and that's another thing, is like where we, our wants, our desires, our expectations all cause us problems. And then that's where forgiveness also relies on those things too, because it's all connected. Everything is. And forgiveness for healing is probably one of the number one things.
And for knowing yourself, and you're saying you're it's not just for you, it's also everyone that is affected by you, everyone whose life you touch is affected by your vibration.
Yeah, we're all connected. So everyone from across the world to your neighbor are all affected by you. So that's why it's so important to remain loving, to remain in kindness, because then the world will shift in ways that are going to get rid of this mental health aspect, all these drugs, all this COVID, all these scary things. Where we're creating more and more fear so that we could hide. You know?
And more hate, like, this government did this
Yeah.
organization did that, and I
Yeah.
hate them for doing that. So that's not a high vibration. So we need to raise our vibration for the health of the planet, the health of
Yeah.
humanity,
And for change. Yeah.
and for real change
Yeah,
to
if we want it
happens.
to change, we have to respect and come forward in a way that is responsible and caring, not wanting. Mine.
And you said something very deep to me the other day that I thought really touched me. It was like, you can't hate anything and anyone unless it's in you, right? So there must be, so we hate something, there must be something within us that we're not seeing, that we don't want to see, and we're projecting that hate onto,
Anyone.
whatever it is, a government, an organization,
Yeah.
a person,
It's usually something easier than someone in your life, something that you could just hate from afar. You don't really have to deal with it, but you could hate it. You don't have to really challenge your point of view, because everyone kind of hates that. Like it's just something you hate. But in turn, no one's looking at what that's creating. And that's where forgiveness comes in, because forgiveness, yeah, it may not seem like we're getting our way or we're going to get to that place that we want, but you're going to get to a place that loves,
and
so
that's what's going to
change.
save the world and
Yeah.
save our own personal life.
Yeah.
Thanks,
So,
Jesse.
yeah, thank you.
Thanks for
Thanks,
watching.
guys.